As all of you know, Jake Paul was meant to be fighting Mike Tyson. Something happened with Mike Tyson at an airport, and they've rescheduled that fight to November. But Jake wants to keep the July 20th date, so who could he find? He finds the king of bare knuckle FC, Mike fucking Perry. Mike Perry steps in on somewhat late notice to fight Jake Paul in a boxing match. I don't think there's been like many rules or stuff that has been leaked yet. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. I don't know the whole situation. But either way, Mike Perry is stepping up for that July 20th date, and he's going against Jake Paul. They've been talking about having this fight, Mike Perry being a potential opponent for Jake Paul for a while now. If you're Jake Paul and Jake Paul's managerial team, this is the prime time to hit Mike Perry, because he right now is the biggest star in BKFC. He's on an absolute roll. I think he's 5-0 in BKFC with wins over Eddie Alvarez, Luke Rockhold, Michael Venom Page, which is a win that has aged well, and Thiago Alves most recently. Mike Perry was built for bare knuckle fighting. He is just a violent individual. He is so extremely tough. He gets hit in his bare knuckle fights, gets busted open, but he's just unbelievably tough. Like, mentally, just unbelievable toughness, and he's gonna walk through whatever you have and just hit you with one of his big ones, and he knows that you're gonna break. And I think his opponents know that, like, it doesn't matter how many times I hit this dude, he's just gonna keep on going forward, and just that sense is overwhelming for them. Like, Luke Rockhold isn't the toughest dude. He's way bigger than Mike Perry though, like much taller, and they probably weighed similar, but Luke's a big dude. Luke doesn't like the boxing range as that much. He was more of like a kicker, but Mike just walked him down. He was getting hit with shots, but then he just hit Luke. And then these guys, these MMA fighters specifically in bare knuckle fighting, which is most of bare knuckle fighting, primarily that's not a word. Primarily, thank you. I've got CTE right now. Primarily MMA fighters in bare knuckle FC, because those motherfuckers are the only ones who are crazy enough to do it. And he's just walking these guys down. He gets hit, doesn't phase him, and then when he cracks these guys one time, it's like, oh shit. Like, and he doesn't like knock them out, he just hits them, and it's like, ow, that hurts, and they got a huge cut, and they know that Mike Perry's will is never gonna break, so it's just a very defeating thing. But as good as Mike Perry is in bare knuckle fighting, like I said, he was built for bare knuckle fighting. We are now talking about professional boxing rules. 10-ounce gloves, and not as much clinching, a different surface to fight in. And we've seen like videos in the past come out where Mike Perry and Jake Paul were holy CTE, and Jake Paul were sparring, and Mike Perry was complimenting Jake, saying, oh, you whoop my ass. Of course, sparring isn't a fight, but even just looking at it like from a broad like picture, at this point Jake Paul technically is a better boxer than Mike Perry. That just is the case. He's proven that against a lot of MMA fighters, and even in the Tommy Fury fight, like, Tommy Fury's not amazing, but he put up a good fight in that, and it was somewhat competitive. Just looking at it, both of them on the bag, both of them on the pads. Jake Paul's just more technically skilled, and he hits hard as well. But Mike Perry, the way that Mike Perry can, like, just become an absolute hero in the MMA community is by walking through all of Jake's shots, pressuring him, going to the body, just making it a nasty bar fight. That's the only way he can win this. And we've said this before for Jake Paul opponents. We said this about Ben Askren way back in the day. If he can like wrestle him, and I was one of the ones who was like, oh, I don't know, Ben Askren, that MMA experience. I don't know what I was thinking, Like, Ben Askren would have lost to like a 16-year-old amateur boxer. Nate Diaz had the same argument. Can he make it like dirty? And Tyron Woodley, same thing. But Jake Paul's proven that he can get it done, especially against MMA fighters. Will Mike Perry be the one to break the curse? How awesome would it be? Imagine just, like, you forget the fight happened or whatever, you fall asleep, you wake up on Instagram, and you're just scrolling through and you see just endless clips of Jake Paul, like, unconscious. Mike Perry knocked him spark out in, like, the 6th round after losing all the rounds before, being cut up. He's spitting blood, screaming. I'm just saying, imagine that picture in your head, and then just like, oh, just pray for it, because that would be amazing. But if I had to make an early prediction, Jake Paul, more technically skilled, probably not gonna finish Mike Perry. I'd be surprised if he knocked out Mike Perry, very surprised. So probably, however many rounds they go, decision win for Jake Paul. That's my early, boring prediction, but my heart, I don't mind Jake Paul. I don't hate him, but my heart wants Mike Perry to just walk through shots for 5.5 rounds. In between, in the corner, for some reason, Leon Edwards' coach is in Mike Perry's corner saying, don't let him bully your son. And then just like, boom, one shot, turns the chin of Jake Paul. He drops. Mike Perry's full of blood. He's like, ah, and he's screaming. Did it for all of the MMA greats that he's done dirty in the past. And justice is restored.